A lot of my friends have told me that I sound monotonous and robotic. My best friend even commented on one of my vlogs saying, "You're like talking while sleeping." I don't deny it. Looking back at my old videos, I think there's been at least a little improvement when I speak English. I've started engaging my facial muscles more, and I'm really trying to synchronize my facial expressions with the language I'm speaking. Tu sais, c'est difficile quand même, hein? Then I started thinking about facial expressions and gestures in different languages. You see, if you have a very expressive face while speaking Chinese, something feels off. And if you're not very expressive when speaking English, that also feels unnatural. I'm an introvert, and I agree that personality plays a significant role in facial expressions. But beyond that, I think the cultural context is the major factor. I've only visited the US as an English-speaking country destination once for 23 days. Never lived or studied there, but I've watched a lot of TV shows and news growing up. I've noticed that Americans, or English speakers in general, tend to use open body language with expressive eyebrow and lip and neck movements. They also engage the muscles around the eyes, which are more often seen in sustained, intense facial expressions. Big smile. When you have my full attention, I'm being friendly. When judgy. When in shock. Many Chinese people see this as too expressive to the point where it might even accelerate wrinkle formation. In American culture, individualism is highly valued, so people are more likely to express their personal thoughts and emotions openly. There's also an emphasis on engagement, whether in casual conversations or public speaking. You're expected to sell your ideas with energy and facial expressions. A monotone voice or a lack of facial expression can make you come across as uninterested or even untrustworthy. If you speak in English without much facial expression, it might seem unnatural. So I decided to use more facial expressions and gestures naturally to make me sound more authentic and less AI-like. Very mindful, very demure. Alors en France, expressiveness is also important, but in a different way. French has a debate culture, so they tend to use a lot of gestures and facial expressions to convey emotions and opinions. But it also depends on the context. Elegance and restraint are also valued, especially in more formal situations. I found less eye stares and the brow movements combination in language exchanges in Parisian French, but they have their own body language. Most classic ones are "Oh là là, j'en peux plus moi. Tu sais où il est? Moi. Pas mal. Oh, c'est assez fort, hein? Oh, calme-toi. Oh. But in Gen Z, I see different facial expressions and body language, which are more American-like, I would say. They also like to use tone and strategic pauses to express themselves. Meuf, c'était tellement incroyable. Il y avait genre 3 personnes ou je sais pas. Ah ouais? In Russia, facial expressions and gestures play a significant role in communication, but they tend to be more restrained in formal settings and more expressive in informal ones. Russians often have a serious or neutral facial expressions in public, sometimes referred to as the Russian resting face. This doesn't mean they are unfriendly, but rather that in Russian culture, excessive smiling without reason can seem stupid. A common saying in Russia is «Смех без причины – признак дурачины». A smile without reason is a sign of foolishness. Unlike in the US, where people smile frequently to appear approachable, in Russia, smiling is more situational. It's genuine when used, but not a default expression. Smile is Free anecdote captures this perfectly. However, in informal situations with close friends and family, Russians can be very expressive. Laughter, strong emotions, and dramatic gestures are common, especially when telling stories or arguing passionately. Russian hand gestures also play an important role in communication, such as "this means I'm full," not "I'm going to kill you," and "this means this person" or "you're crazy." And this means you realized something. Additionally, Russian communication tends to be direct and emotionally intense, similar to Mongolian culture. This intensity is not seen as rude, but rather as authenticity. Expressing emotions honestly is valued. In Mongolian, it's very much like in Russian, since our ancestors were primarily nomadic, so our personalities tend to be more direct and uninhibited. Interpersonal interactions are more direct and open. Expressive communication is more valued. Expressiveness tends to be more direct and natural compared to some East Asian cultures. This is largely influenced by nomadic heritage, where open and straightforward communication is valued. Because in traditional Mongolian society, people lived in vast open spaces, and strong community bonds were essential for survival. This encouraged honest and uninhibited emotional expression. Unlike in cultures where subtlety and restraint are emphasized, Mongolians are more likely to openly express their feelings through facial expressions, tone of voice, and gestures. Laughing loudly, speaking with passion, and using broad gestures are all common and seen as signs of sincerity rather than exaggeration. But depends on the modern environment we're living in, this might have changed a little bit. After all, humans are shaped by their surroundings. In China, emotional restraint and maintaining composure are considered virtues. From a young age, we're taught to not let our emotions show on our face as a sign of maturity and propriety, since this way we can remain mysterious and not let the others manipulate us. Это считается как приличность. It's like a lot of relationship gurus in the West are promoting nowadays: don't react, you attract. Also, we lean more toward collectivism. I'm sure most of Chinese have experienced a rhetorical question from teachers like, 别的同学都行，你为啥不行? We prioritize group harmony and tend to avoid overly expressing personal emotions to prevent disrupting social relationships. At least it's like this in formal situations, and normally people will judge you for your excessively expressive face and body language in this situation, or you'll go viral. Chinese are used to express themselves with eyes, not the muscles around the eyes, just eyes. So, for example, this is happy, angry, speechless, curious, tired. Chinese language has also developed tremendously, especially in written format. And of course, internet is also a catalyzer. It's like when you're blind, your hearing will improve a lot. So in some way, DeepSeek's success was inevitable because Chinese people are born with the talent to thrive in limited conditions. Most viral memes on Chinese internet come from very down-to-earth people, mainly because normally they don't have a lot of formal situations to apply their facial expression filter or to even control their most intrusive thoughts.
The girl is bad. The girl is dangerous.
Or memes can also come from ordinary people in a relaxed state where they can finally express their real emotions, or celebrities that fail to control their real emotions in public. And since everybody relates to them and what's rare is precious, they're prone to become viral memes. Interestingly enough, I found that most memes are about everyday struggles or negative emotion display. Maybe it's because in Chinese culture, humbleness and the toughness to endure hardships are also considered virtues, but We have to get it out somewhere to be recognized and heard. And it's totally normal you don't find certain memes funny. That's because you don't have that Confucius cultural package installed on you, so you can't fully feel the contrast. Facial expressions and gestures are deeply rooted in cultural norms, values, and history. Some cultures encourage emotional openness while others promote restraint and composure. So next time you're speaking a different language, pay attention to how native speakers use their face and body. If you want to sound more natural, adapting your expressions and gestures to the cultural context might just be the key. What do you think? Have you noticed any differences in body language when speaking different languages? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video so that I can see you next time.